All right, let's talk about something that is, without a doubt, one of the simplest and most powerful ways to protect your digital life. It's called two-factor authentication, or 2FA. The best way to think about it? It's like putting a serious, high-security double lock on all of your most important online accounts.
So let me ask you this. For years, we've all been taught that a super long, complicated password is all we need, right? But is that really enough anymore? The honest truth is, relying on just a password today is kind of like using a flimsy little lock on your front door in a world where every burglar has a set of master keys.
And wow, this number right here really puts the problem into perspective. That's how much damage cyber attacks caused in just 2023 alone. Cybercriminals have gotten scarily good at cracking, guessing, and just plain stealing passwords. This number proves our first line of defense isn't just getting old, it's getting steamrolled.
So here's the bottom line. A password, all by itself, is what we call a single point of failure, and that's a huge problem. If a hacker gets a hold of your password, maybe from a data breach or a phishing scam, that's it. Game over. They can just waltz right into your account. And that's exactly the problem that 2FA was designed to fix.
This is where 2FA comes in to save the day. It's a really simple idea that adds this crucial second layer of security. The analogy I always use is that it's like needing two totally different keys to open one door. So even if a thief manages to steal your first key, your password, they're still stuck on the wrong side of the door without that all-important second key.
Now, to really get how this works, we need to quickly touch on this term, authentication factor. It sounds technical, but it's not. It's just a fancy way of saying a type of proof that you are who you say you are. And the key thing on this slide, the part you really need to remember, is that real, effective 2FA requires two factors from different categories.
And these are the three main categories. Something you know. That's your classic password or PIN. Something you have. That's a physical thing, like your phone or a special USB key. And something you are, well, that's you. It's your biometrics, like a fingerprint or Face ID. True 2FA combines your password, which is something you know, with something from one of those other two groups. That's what creates a seriously tough barrier for hackers.
Okay, so you're on board with using 2FA. That's awesome, but now you've got to choose your second factor. And this is so important. They are not all created equal. There's a big difference between good, better, and best. Understanding that difference is absolutely crucial. So let's break down the most common options you'll see.
All right, let's put these two head to head. Over on the left, you've got SMS codes. A text with a one-time code gets sent to your phone. It's easy, yeah, but look at that big one in bold. It's vulnerable to something called SIM swapping. On the right, we have authenticator apps, like Google Authenticator or Authy. These apps generate a constantly changing code right on your device, which makes them way more secure. Plus, big bonus, they even work when you don't have a cell signal.
And if you're thinking, oh, SIM swapping sounds rare, that would never happen to me, well, think again. It happened to Jack Dorsey while he was the CEO of Twitter. Hackers literally tricked his phone company, took control of his phone number, and started getting his 2FA codes sent to their phone. If it can happen to him, believe me, it can happen to any of us. This is exactly why security experts are practically begging people to move away from SMS codes.
Okay, so this chart pretty much sums it all up. SMS codes are your baseline. They're better than nothing, for sure, but they're vulnerable. Authenticator apps are a huge step up in security. But right at the very top, the gold standard for your most critical accounts are hardware keys. These are little physical devices, like a YubiKey, that you plug into your computer. They're basically immune to remote attacks, because a hacker can't trick you into typing a code from a physical key they can't touch. It's pretty much a vault door for your digital life.
All right, we've established that 2FA is critical. But let's be real for a second. There's a reason not everyone uses it, and it's that we're worried it's going to be a huge pain, right? We have this picture in our heads of fumbling for our phone every single time we want to log in. So let's just go ahead and bust that myth and talk about how to make 2FA totally seamless. This right here is the number one question, the number one fear that holds people back. This idea that you're going to have to type in a 6-digit code every single time you want to check your email, it sounds exhausting. And honestly, if it were true, I wouldn't use it either.
But the great news, the sigh of relief, is that's just not how it works. For your own trusted devices, you generally only have to deal with that second factor the very first time you log in. This is the big aha moment for so many people who've been putting off turning on 2FA.
Here's how it actually plays out. The first time you log in on, say, your laptop, you'll enter your password and your 2FA code. Then, you just check a little box that says something like, trust this device. That's it. Your browser saves a secure little token. From then on that computer, you'll just need your password. But, and this is the important part, a hacker trying to get in from their computer somewhere else, they will always be asked for that second factor, which, of course, they don't have. So you get convenience, and they get stopped cold.
So where should you start? Like right now, today. At the absolute bare minimum, you need to turn on 2FA for these 4 types of accounts. Your email is the master key. If a hacker gets that, they can reset everything else. Financial accounts, well, that's a no-brainer. Your password manager is literally the keys to your entire kingdom. And social media is vital for protecting your identity. Securing these 4 isn't optional, it's essential.
And now for the other big fear, the elephant in the room. What if I lose my phone? Am I locked out of my life forever? It's a totally valid concern, but it's one you can, and you absolutely must, prepare for. Let's talk about your backup plan, your digital lifeline.
And don't just take my word for it. This quote from a security expert says it all. The single biggest mistake people make with 2FA is not setting up a recovery plan. Taking 5 minutes to do this now will save you from a world of hurt later. When you use 2FA, you're taking responsibility for your security, and that includes having a backup.
So what is this backup plan? It's actually incredibly simple. When you turn on 2FA for an account, it's going to give you a list of one-time use recovery codes. These codes are your lifeline. Your job, and please listen to me on this, is to save them somewhere incredibly safe and completely separate from your phone. Print them out, put them in a safe, save them in a secure file. Whatever you do, do not skip this step. These codes are your only way back in if the worst happens.
And that really brings us to the final thought. Now that you know why passwords just don't cut it anymore, how 2FA works, and how to manage it without losing your mind, there's really only one question left to ask yourself. Are your most important accounts protected with that digital double lock? And if the answer is no, the best time to fix that is right now.